When I mean by all, I'm talking about all of us. You work in a 9 to 5 job, you work in a nonprofit, a city job, state job, government, it doesn't matter. You have an opportunity to become a millionaire by staying consistent and ultimately investing into your future. Let's go into it.
There are more 401k millionaires than ever before. According to new data from Fidelity, there are now roughly 497,000 401k plan participants with balances of at least $1 million in their accounts. So how can you set yourself up to be on the path to be a 401k millionaire yourself? Here with more, we've got some of those tips. Tracy Burns, who is the UBS financial advisor, joining us here. Tracy, great to see you again. So I think first and foremost,
so before we get into the actual details, what's important here is you see that number, roughly 497,000 people have over $1 million when it comes to Fidelity and their 401k program. This is so important. When I say that you have the ability to do this, this is not something that is only for rich people. It's only for wealthy people, people that, was provided some type of inheritance by their parents. No, this is everyday working men and women that are investing consistently over time for their future in their 401k. And over 500,000 people, just from Fidelity alone, has over $1 million worth of money in their 401k.
People just want to know, okay, am I part of that number? And if not, how do I become part of it? What are some of the first steps that people can take to set themselves up to be a millionaire by the time they're ready to tap in that 401k?
Yeah, Brad, it's all about consistency. It's much like when you diet Monday through Friday, and then on the weekend you have pizza and potato chips and you wonder why you're not losing weight. It's the same thing. Slow and steady wins the race. And I bet you those 497,000 people put money in, left it there, put it in the stock market, checked on it, and let it grow. And I think that's really important too. Don't just set it and forget it. Make sure you revisit, you diversify, you rebalance if you have to. What was good when you started working 20 years ago might not still work today, Brad. So you have to get back to it as well and pay attention.
And so,
all right, so real quick, let's talk about this. All right. So the first thing that she talked about was consistency. It is the word that a lot of people we don't like long-term processes. We want everything so fast. Everything is so quick nowadays. Technology has given us, this false sense of, everything comes so fast, right? Quick, rich, quick getting scheme. No, that doesn't work, right? Consistency is so important in this conversation when it comes to how you can grow your account to be a millionaire, right? So first and foremost, we're going to start early and contribute regularly. If you have a 401k at your job, let's start with this. If you don't have a 401k and you work for a company, right? The first thing you need to do tomorrow on Monday is go to your company, go to HR and ask them, hey, do you guys have a 401k? Right. Secondly, after that, you need to ask, do you have a matching contribution from the company? And what percentage is that? Most companies will at minimum contribute up to 3%, right? Government is going to contribute up to 5%, right? So first and foremost, the question needs to be, 1, do you have a 401k available for me? 2, is there matching contributions? And then at what percentage is those contributions? At minimum, you must contribute up to that matching contribution that your company provides. It's free money. It's free money, right? So let's just give an example. If I contribute, $5,000 a year into my 401k, that means that my company will match me up to about $5,000, depending on what that percentage limit is, right? So you're basically getting 100% of your money back. The company is investing in you, and that money is growing over a long period of time, right? Secondly, invest wisely, right? So we know that if you've been watching this channel, we've talked about the stock market. Annually, stock market goes up 8 to 12% a year. and this has happened over the last 50 years. This is not my opinion. This is facts, right? Annually, the stock market will go up 8 to 12%. On average, it's probably 8 to 10%. So if you know that your money is going to grow 8 to 10% and you are 21, 25, 30, 35, and you're going to be working for another 30, 40 years, how much money, if you contribute $5,000, you get another match, that's 5,000, that's 10,000. You making 8 to 10% per year. 10% of 10,000 is $1,000. And as that continue to grow each year, how much money would you have in 20 to 30 years? Right? The contributions and the consistency aspect of this is so important. And then when you go into your 401k account, you can invest into the stock market, into international stocks. You can invest into mutual funds and treasuries if you want to go fixed income. There are ways that you can invest wisely over time so that you can not just, accumulate a lot of money, but then also when you're closer to retirement, protect your money, right? So, that's number two. Number three, we just talked about the take advantage of employer matching. This is the most basic rule of thumb when it comes to retirement accounts is make sure that you are taking advantage of the company match at all times, right? And last but not least, when she's about to talk about early withdrawals, it is so key that you stay away if you can. We know hardships happen in your life. A lot of times, you can take out money for, tax exempt reasons, like, a birth of a child, a, first time home buying purchase, some type of, you also have health. If you have health issues, health concerns, you can withdraw money from your 401k without receiving the tax penalties from an early withdrawal standpoint. But we want to try to stay away from withdrawing any funds from our 401ks or our retirement accounts. And then in some cases, like with the government, with the TSP account, with the thrift savings plan, you can actually take loans out from your 401k and never have to withdraw. But that's a little bit more of an advanced conversation. But again, the important things here when it comes to being a 401k millionaire, one, you want to start as early as you possibly can. All of my 401k members right now that have them with their job, amazing. Make sure you're getting that match. Make sure that you're accumulating more and you're allocating more funds to your 401k as you continue to gain income. Invest wisely. If you haven't went into your 401k in detail and actually taking a look at the possibilities of investing in the stock market, looking at international stocks, fixed income, treasuries, bonds, things like that, this is a great time for you to do a little bit more research and make sure that you are investing in the right things for your future, right? Take advantage of the employer match. We talked about that, and try to stay away from early withdrawals.
With that in mind, what are some of the common mistakes that you see people making, Tracy?
So that's it, right? We forget all about it. We don't increase. I'll tell you, one of the number one things people could do is when you get a raise, give your retirement plan a raise as well. Bump it just a little. Bump it in accordance. Set the percentages, as a matter of fact, to increase with your salary if you can. I would also say that one of the worst things and the hardest things is that people make withdrawals before retirement. And you can, right? It's your money. Try really hard not to. You can for first-time home buyer. You can for hardship. If it's possible not to touch that, leave it alone. And lastly, don't forget that match. If your company's offering you money, you better give till you get it, because it's free money and it's yours, and it will add to that million down the road someday.
What's a good investment rule of thumb for contributions to that 401k as well here?
It's really hard to say, right? If you live in Manhattan and you're just out of college, it's so hard to say, oh, by the way, you should put the max in because you can't make rent. So I get it. I say you just try really hard to pay yourself first. But I am cognizant of the fact that living expenses are tough in certain places. But ideally, you want to hit that annual number every year, because don't forget, you don't pay tax on it until you retire. So it is a help, paycheck to paycheck, to not have to pay tax on a portion of your salary.
So again, what's important here is to do the things that's going to lead to your success, right? Everyone wants to make money. everyone wants to be a quote unquote millionaire. The thing that we used to want is to be a six-figure earner, right? I remember a time where, you know, I was making $40,000-$50,000 a year, and it was like, look, I need to figure out how I can make $100,000. That was the goal, right? Now that's kind of changed because of inflation. $100,000 ain't nearly as much money as you think. And then, you know, now everyone wants to be a millionaire. Social media, you know, celebrities, things that we see out here. You got YouTube celebrities, you got so many viral, and everyone on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and things like that, right? So everyone wants to be a millionaire, right? But honestly, it's not easy to, you know, be a business owner, right? And not everyone is supposed to be an entrepreneur, right? It's not easy trying to be a content creator. It's not easy trying to go viral and be a celebrity and these things, and athletes and things like that, that really a very few people amount of people can actually accomplish. But the one thing that you can do more than anything is be consistent when it comes to your 401k. That is something that you can control, right? Even if you're, you know, if you're not making nearly as much as you think or that you want right now, it doesn't matter. You can still, you know, go to your business, go to your employer, ask about that 401k, take advantage of it, and allow money to grow over a period of time. Again, this is not a short-term, you know, goal setting situation. This is a long-term. We all have to prepare for our retirement. And the worst thing that you can do is be 50, 55, 60, and you're looking at the end of the road that you worked for the last 30 years and you don't have what you need to retire, right? What is that number? I would argue it's $2.5 million. If you do the calculations, and if you want to live until you're 85, 90 years old, you need at least a couple million in the bag ready to go if you want to live comfortably for the rest of your life. But that depends on your standard of living, where you want to live, the locations, things like that. But again, prepare today, right? We don't want to wait until later in our lives to figure out that we need to get a regular job and work at Walmart, you know, saying, hey, how you doing, when you walk in the door, because I didn't do what I was supposed to do when I was 30, when I was 40, when I was 50. No, we're going to do our due diligence today to get ourselves ready for tomorrow.